Thank you for clicking on the video. Welcome back to the channel. This is another review for Dahmer. This is episode 6. So we see this woman giving birth. It's a boy, and his name is Tony. And we are looking through his eyes throughout this entire. Let me just start there, because Ryan Murphy does such a great job. And I've been saying this about his storytelling and all of that. And this is one of those nuances of Ryan Murphy, giving us the realistic experience in being deaf. And granted, this is not a realistic experience, because just as fast as he cut the sound, if you're somebody that's a hearing person, when we start hearing, we hearing. But for somebody that's deaf, that's how it is for them all the time. And so that was like eye-opening. Great stuff. I could appreciate walking in Tony's shoes for the entire episode. The actor who portrayed him did an excellent job. This everybody in general, all the actors, everybody involved in this is doing amazing. And so the victims and their families, they should be happy with how their loved ones are being portrayed. Not in a sense, not when they, of course, not their interactions with Dahmer or anything like that, but just the spirit of who they are and the essence of who they who they were. We can say that Tony was a good guy, was a good person, was very loved, all of that. And you could feel that through the TV. But anyway, we watch his birth, and we're seeing things through his his little lenses and everything, and he's just looking around, and there's no sound. He's just looking, and his parents and his family, of course, are wooing over him, and he's just looking there. And she takes him to the doctor, and she tells the doctor, he hasn't been responding to me, so which is why she's there. He had an ear infection, and the doctor prescribed him some medication, and the doctor automatically knew what the medication was and that it was harmful. And so this harmful drug has completely taken the baby's hearing. And so he suffered permanent hearing loss. So we flip, and it's now 1991. Tony is in the club, feeling the beats. He feeling the vibrations of the music, just really getting his life. He's having a time. He's on the dance floor with this guy. And then, of course, now the sound is gone, and we experience his experience, how Tony lives his life. And he's at the bar, and he writes this guy, the guy he's talking to, he writes him a note, and the guy's like, "Are you deaf?" And yes, obviously he write notes in the club. First he's like, "You're so cute," because Tony wrote the note first. And and introduced himself, and he said, "You're so cute." And then Tony writes another note, and he's just like, "Oh, are you deaf?" And that was kind of like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna go back over here with my friends after the boy done bought you a drink. You just gonna take his drink and go on about your business." Tony was a nice looking man. I don't even know why you played him to the left like that. Anyway, Tony just sits there, of course, just at the bar alone. Poor thing. Then we see him at the diner with his friends, and his friends are also deaf. So I was glad about that as well, to see that he had found his tribe. He had found some people. And they're just signing a whole conversation with one another. Tony is tired of being, dismissed, and he wants to go on a real date. He just wants a guy to be interested in him genuinely. Then there's another one. His name is, we find out his name later too, and I don't have it right now in front of me. But anyway, his friend, one of them is into turning tricks. He's just like, "Oh, I gets my dates." If you know what I mean, if you get my drift, you should have. He told him that he should have put his mouth on it, because the mouth works. Like, listen, show him what that mouth do for a piece of change, and there's your date. Like, he getting it how he live. He ain't worried. But the other friend, of course, is on Tony's side in that everybody don't want to slut themselves out. Everybody don't want to be a hoe out here in these streets, especially as dangerous as it was to be that person in that time, with AIDS being a whole epidemic, with, you know, them just killing the trans people, and, you know, and the gay people, and we got a whole serial killer on the run. So yeah, it ain't really smart to be out here just prostituting yourself. But they, you know, they have that exchange. Tony is just ready for a date. He's just ready for somebody to take him serious. But friend, of course, that you know, he's got to get it how he lives. He's like, sign for yourself. I got to get it how I live. I'm not finna be out here doing all of that. Tony wants to be a model. And he's feeling like, you know, he has to get into this profession because he's watching his figure, all of that. He got dreams. He say, I'm going to hitch a ride up out of here and I'm going to go. He of course, his goal is New York. But those are his dreams. He wants to be a model and he's serious and he can't have nothing holding him back. All right. So Nicolette, y'all know Nicolette from the Eddie Griffin show. What was this show called? Malcolm and Eddie. And what else was she on? She was all I can hear her saying is Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark on Lean on Me. Y'all know Nicolette. Anyway, I'm trying to think of her real name. She's playing Tony's mother. She does an excellent job as well. They're having a family dinner. Tony got a new job. You know, they're asking about the new job, but of course that's not what he wants to do. The family gets up from the table, and his sister, she want all the tea. She like, so been on any hot dates? You know, she signs it. Of course, I don't know how to sign, but she signs. They have the whole conversation. We're still pretty much not getting any sound, which was fine for me. That was fine for me. Like I said, I was fine with him doing that because, like, that he made it very real. He made it very real for a hearing person, and it just makes me empathize with people with that disability that much more. It really does. You know, you really take your senses for granted until you don't have all your senses. Even with people who got COVID and they lost their sense of taste and smell, I'm sure that after that, it's like, damn, I really took that for granted. You know, when you get a cold and your nose is stuffy, you just take for granted all those times that you could breathe freely. Anyway, it really is the little things. Anyway, there's a knock at the door. He's sitting there. Well, he was with his sister, and there's a knock at the door. He gets up, and it's his friend, and he tells him that their friend Rick, so that was his name, their friend Rick was murdered. No, Rico was murdered. Of course, he's all distraught, and, you know, the next day he's packing up. His mother, of course, she's like, are you running? Like, you ain't got to run. Like, you know, it's not really safe for you to leave. And he says he's not really running, but he's running towards his dreams. And he's a grown man. You know, it's time that he starts living independently. He was 31. So, I mean, yeah, you know, it was about that time. His plan is to move to Madison, which is a college town, meet some photographers, get his portfolio up, and when it's time, head to New York. So he has goals, and modeling that's at the forefront of his mind. His mom just says, listen, the world is a scary place. Just please promise me that you won't, head out of here and, just go forever. Be safe out there, you know? We see Tony out there looking for jobs. The first place blows him off when they see that he's deaf. Then the lady walks up to, suddenly we fill the position. Whole wanted sign outside, but now y'all done fill the position this morning. Okay, whatever. Then at the next place, they do the same thing, just blow him off. He goes to this clothing store, and the store owner, it looks at his resume and says, you attended whatever school. And he starts to sign to Tony. And so This man says that his little sister went to the same school, and, she was also born deaf. Their whole family, signed. So good job. Tony done got the job. Tony went out there excited. I was excited too. Like literally very excited for Tony and that he had got this job, because everybody else was just, not even paying him any attention because he's deaf. And it's like, he's deaf. He's not dumb. Like he can count the money, like he can do something around here. They were acting like he was just useless. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. Anyway, he's walking and then he sees this ad for a model call. And he goes and he does the photo shoot and eats it up. Of course, the man wants, like, let's get some without your shirt. It's always, let's get some without the shirt. Let's get some without the pants. Excuse me. No, let's not. Tony, go ahead and do it anyway. But afterwards, he's like, would you like a Coke? So they have a Coke, and the guy tells him, you have the most beautiful brown skin that I've ever seen. I just want to lick it. Stick to the business, sir. Tony writes him a note and, tells him that he's looking for love. Does it live here? That man like, oh, well, let's get back to work, because no, that ain't what I'm looking for. I was just trying to get me a little lay, and that's it. You should have stayed on task anyway, Mr. Photographer, sir, man. Anyway, Tony is back home. And he's visiting for the weekend. His sister, she's pregnant now. She's having a girl. And she tells Tony that she want, if you'll have me, I want to name her Tony after you. And, of course, he is flattered. That night, he's headed out to the party. He tells his mom, I'll be out late. Don't wait up. And, of course, she's like, don't you leave here without telling me bye. And, of course, he says, I promise it ain't going to happen like that. He's at the club, of course, again, feeling the vibrations from the music, and Jeffrey is at the bar, glaring at him, staring at him. And, of course, his friend's like, he over there staring. You might as well go on over there and see what he's talking about. Go see what he's talking about. So he walks over there to him. Jeffrey offers him a drink, and then Tony writes him a note, and he asks Jeffrey, because Jeffrey's like, are you deaf? And he's like, he writes again, is that a turn off? Jeffrey looks and thinks and then writes down, I'm Jeff. So it's not a deal breaker for Jeff. They go out to the dance floor, and Jeffrey like really let loose and took his shirt off and everything, just really partying. And he asking him, how you dance so good? And Tony just, pulls him in, like, because I feel the vibration. So he listening to his heart. I'm like, that's the last thing you need to be doing with this crazy fool. Letting him hear your heartbeat. Because, he going to want to take it out of your body with his crazy airs. But Tony don't know. Tony don't even know. It's just being trusting. It's just like, I don't trust nobody like that. And I'm not even from the time where this was just rampant. Like... Anyway, Tony is kind of charming, though. Tony is charming, even with the little nose. That's real cute. That's real cute. That'll get him. I guess that's what he's saying. Even though that's just how he communicates, but it's still very charming. His little notes, the things that he's saying, all that. Jeffrey goes back to the bar. He gonna go get another drink, and he pulls out his drug, contemplating, should I do this? I don't really gotta do it. Like, I feel like I like him a little bit. I ain't gonna do it. And he puts it in his pocket. I said, okay, Jeffrey, making strides. You making strides. Don't listen to the devilish, hellish, murderous impulses. Choose God, okay? Choose light. Choose not to harm and hurt somebody tonight, please. Anyway, after that, it's late at night or whatever. They done closed the club. Jeffrey was trying to get him to go home with him, but he's like, you got to earn me, child. I'm not finna do none of that. He gives him a hug, and he heads on home. Then we see Tony and his friend out again. Tony is hoping that he gonna run into Jeffrey. And His friend like, that white, you got me out here missing in living color, run out here chasing this white boy, this little pale, basic butterbread white boy. But Tony thinks that he's sweet, and so they gonna go out there and see if they can meet him. They do end up running into Jeffrey or whatever, and they go off together, and they actually start dating. Like, they're in a full-on, I wouldn't say full-on relationship, but they're courting one another. Jeffrey was courting him, and vice versa. They start hanging pretty tough. Like, he teaching Jeffrey sign language and all of that. They going to the diner during the day, going out to the club at night. Jeffrey spent time with him. They're having lunch, and Jeffrey starts writing notes, asking questions about Tony's experience being deaf and all of that. Jeffrey was really, like, getting to know him. Then we see Jeffrey's parents. They come to visit. And, they're looking at, they've come visit the house of horrors. And they start with that small talk, which is very awkward, of course. And then Jeffrey tells him that he stopped, he's cut back on his drinking. He ain't really drinking that much. He's a social drinker now, only drinking when he hang out, which is every damn day. The lies, Jeffrey, just the lies. He said he got a new little friend. They get excited, like, you got a friend? Really? What's her name? Child. Anyway, Mr. Dahmer couldn't be happier to hear all of this. We see Jeffrey and Tony. They back out at the club on the dance floor, dancing the night away. And Jeffrey finally, this is when he finally gets him back to his apartment. This is where, we left off in the last episode where he was walking the deaf guy back up to his room. And Jeffrey in there start making drinks again. And he's hesitating again about drugging him, and he doesn't do it. He decides not to. They're just sitting on the couch, looking at each other, whatever. And Tony pulls out the notepad and writes him a note. He asks him, he's like, what should we do now? And then Jeffrey pulls out this game, like, we should play this game. And he shows him all, the game that he used to play when he was a kid. And his game pieces are bones. Somebody's wishbone. Probably from a cat, from a from a possum or something. But those are the game pieces. And he tells him the rules of the game. And if you get too close to his piece, he gonna come and knock him off the board, and they disappear into the vortex. And Tony just looking at him like, okay. His game is called Infinity Land or something like that. Anyway, Tony goes first, and he takes his piece and moves it all the way up to Jeffrey. And he writes Jeffrey a note and says that we can make our own rules. And Jeffrey leans in to kiss him, and Tony gives him his cheek to kiss. So Tony, like I said, Tony got game. Okay? We think Tony just playing hard to get or playing, no, that's game. That playing hard to get. They end up having the sex, or they end up having something because they wake up, with their clothes off the next day. Tony wakes up late for work, whatever, and he has to leave. And, of course, Jeffrey doesn't want him to leave. And Tony's like, I'll be back. When will I see you again? Like, he was panicky, like running up and rushing him and everything. Am I going to see you again? And Tony's like, I'll be back around here. I'm not going to just ghost you. Like, I got to go to work, but, I'll come back and visit. Like, my mama live here. I'll be back. He tells him that he'll be back next week. And Jeffrey is like, how do I know that? Tony is like, trust. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You're just going to have to trust me. Jeffrey starts having a moment. Like, he's standing there breathing heavy, about to unravel. He goes and grabs a hammer. And before Tony leaves, he writes him a note. He tells him that he won't disappear. And Jeffrey just turns around, smiling all dreamy, like, oh, and I was about to bash your head in. Jeffrey ain't said, well, he still ain't shit. I don't even care that he had these moments of remorse or these moments where I might not do it. Because you still went through with it. So, call that. I don't care about none of that. I don't care about none of that. We see Tony's mom. She's at the police station, and she's reporting Tony missing. And she said that he never came home. The people at the job said he never showed up for work. And of course, the police are going to barely do anything. They don't care. They just, oh, really? Okay, we'll get back to you. We're going to be on the lookout for you, girl. I don't know what to tell you. They just sorry excuses for the law. Anyway, he asking, and the man asking any drug use or gang related activity. She looking like, no. No. Didn't I just tell you that he was deaf? I think she told him that he was deaf. Either way, don't just assume my son is involved in gang-related activity or drug use because he missing. Again, that's what I got for the police department round there. She tells him, like Tony is a good boy. Like that's not what he gives. No. She leaves and they just start hanging up the missing persons flyer. She ends up in like the gay part of town. I don't know why she left out of that area without posting the picture, but she did. It was almost like she noticed her surroundings and was like, I done went too far down the road. He wouldn't be around here, but mama, he was all up and through there. So I don't think she knew he was gay. Or maybe she did and it was never confirmed. I don't know. She didn't leave the poster there. She gathers the deaf community, asking for their prayers as well as their help finding Tony. Jeffrey got the nerve to be round there. He got the nerve to show up to the vigil, donating to the cause. When he gets home, he start that binge drinking again, throwing stuff around, yelling and cussing and carrying on. Glenda Niecy Nash over there in her apartment listening. She listening to all of it. Jeffrey, he starts looking back through all of his, all of his old victims, and he keeps their licenses, and so he's looking back through them, and of course, Tony's driver's license is in the bunch. He finds one, and then he just decides to make a call to their family. One of the family members, the sister, she picks up the phone, and he's like, he tells them that to stop looking for him because he's gone. And she like, excuse me, who is this? Who is this? Where my brother at? All that. He just hang up on her. Talking about he's in the vortex. Did they have Star 69 then? Because she should have Star 69 his ass called. That people really used to try hanging up. Oh, no, I can Star 69 and call your ass right back. I feel like that what she should have done if they had that, but I don't know. I don't know when we got Star 69. I just know it was a thing back in the day, just like Star 67, Anyway, Jeffrey, he answers his door, and we see this is back. He's remembering what happened to Tony, and so Tony had doubled back to the apartment. He left his keys, and he's back there looking for his keys, and Jeffrey is standing there in the doorway, and I guess Jeffrey is feeling like, oh, this is my opportunity because the last time I let you leave out of here, and I can't let you leave out of here again. And so he just sneaks him because, of course, Tony can't see it coming. He can't hear it coming. I'm sure he didn't even have an opportunity or a chance to defend himself. I was so toe up about this whole situation. Especially knowing that like you took a liking to him, or and I'm a little teary misty. I'm a little misty now because the manipulation of it all, making that man feel like he could trust you, making him feel like he had finally found someone that saw him for him, and you turn around and murder him. And you say you like him. And you still murdered him. I was mad. I was mad as hell. Anyway, Tony's family, they trying to keep it together. Mama's spinning her wheels, trying to figure out where her baby is. And she's sitting at the dinner table, and she remembers the conversation before he left. She was telling him she had to get the pastor together because pastor around there spewing hate and just really telling lies, blaming the AIDS epidemic, saying it's, well, not blaming it, but telling the congregation that the AIDS epidemic is God's punishment for the gays, to the gays. Mama said, nah, you're not finna be up there spreading the lies. So that's what made me feel like maybe she knew her son was gay. I don't know, but he tells her, thank you. Thank you for, standing up and saying that. But anyway, he tells her, he's headed out to go meet some friends. And she tells him, this is when she tells him that, when you don't leave and not come back to say goodbye to me. And he tells her, I promise, wouldn't do it. They exchanged the I love yous. And that was the last time she saw her son. And I think she realized it in that moment, which is why she remembered that. It's just like, that was it after that. That was it. The last thing we see is Jeffrey sitting down to consume Tony's heart. Y'all, I bawled. I cried. And I don't know what, and I knew it was coming. This stuff is coming, but it's just like, to see this through a victim's lens is just, let me get off of here and get to episode 7, because I got 8, 9, and 10 to do as well. I haven't watched episode 8 through 10, but I'm up to 7. I'm up to episode 7 and part of episode 8. This damn series here. Y'all, you coming back, and I will be. I think I'm gonna review you as well, episode by episode. That's another series that I really like, and I always binge watch it, and I don't review it, or should I say, I haven't reviewed it in the past. Yes, I have. Not episode by episode. I think the first season that it aired, or premiered, whatever. Right? Tomato. I think the first season it came at. I reviewed it in its entirety. After I finished it, I came up over here and did a review for it. Then the next couple of seasons, I don't think I did a review. Can't remember really, but I'm absolutely going to do it this time, because I see that you guys tune in to the next Netflix specials. The views have gone up tremendously with me adding Dahmer. So again, welcome people, new people. Thank you for being here. I hope that you stay. I hope that you're not just here for Dahmer and you gonna ride out on me. No, stick around. All right, be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's Call Me Busby, and I'll chat with you later. Peace and light.